So you've already heard me talk about starting your business small. Like start it on Craigslist, start it from your backyard, start it from your garage. Do what I'm doing. Come here to CCTV or to another organization like this, volunteer a little bit, use some of the equipment with some true professionals in the background. It's a great way to start. But one thing you've got to consider is what is funding your business? And how do you want to fund your business each step of the way? Well, I'm going to walk you through the steps. We've already talked about doing market research, okay? You want to start off small. You want to search Backpage, Craigslist, OfferUp, and that's going to vary for every single type of business. I mean, if you want to sell hair products, if you want to sell toothbrushes, or if you want to do hair, if you want to brush people's or clean people's teeth, you've got a whole bunch of options out there. Trying to do a blanket approach for all of it is just not realistic for a show. In fact, it's not realistic for all the classes I've been in. You can approach things, you can look at things from a high level, which is exactly what we're going to do as far as just your market research, okay? You got to do your digging. If you're passionate, like I told you before, if you're passionate about your project, about your industry, and you are an expert, you've been passionate about it for 10 years or longer, then okay. And if you haven't quite made it to 10 years, if you're maybe 3 years in or 2 years in, but you put in the time to really research it, then you should know your marketplace. And if you don't, you want to do some more research, because researching your market, researching what you want to do is number one, going to tell you whether or not you're going to be business viable. Okay, can I compete with all of these people that have been doing it or something similar for a long time? And number two, you're going to know the way to go about it. Okay, this company over here, I admire them. They knocked it out the park. I'm going to do like they did. You get where I'm going with this? You want to understand your market. Because if you don't understand your market and you jump in feet first, which is not something I recommend doing, start small. Don't overextend yourself. And then, while you're starting small, really ramping up, getting a feel for it, seeing where the issues are going to come in, seeing where all the mistakes are going to be made while you're still small. And it's not going to cost you that much, because that's going to make the difference between your business succeeding or your business failing. And then do your market research. See what is your best method of deployment. Because what we're going to be moving into is once you've isolated your product and seen, okay, here's my competitive value, yay! Then you've got to go into constructing your business plan. That's not an easy process, and it shouldn't be, because if business were easy, everybody and their mom would do it. Well, they try, but they fail. So I don't want you to fail. All right, so for your business plan, as you're digging through, as you're following your passion, your hobby, or that thing you're good at, take notes. Open up Microsoft Word, get maybe a little tablet that you can write on, maybe bring out your phone, and then hit that recorder button, because every smartphone, period. If you go under Essentials, or if you go under some of the standard apps that are built in, it's got a recorder, a voice recorder. So all you got to do is hit play and then just start talking about your idea. Don't lose an idea, and don't lose a source. Because I can tell you right off the top of my head, I can quote information that's 10, 15 years old, but gosh, trying to remember where I read it, it's bad. Trying to quote the actual specific statistics, oh yeah, it was around 40%. Nobody wants to hear around 40%. You don't want, give or take 40% in your business plan. Like, that doesn't sound very professional, does it? Gather your information, gather your thoughts, and as you go through, it takes 2 seconds to click up to that top browser bar, hit copy, and then go into a Word document and hit paste. It takes a few seconds to open up your audio recorder in your phone, just pull it out of your pocket, and then just record something. Record where you found it, what's the name of the website, what's the name of the book. Just get that pertinent information so that you can refer back to it. And maybe sound out some of the statistics, okay, 40% this, 20% that. Like, just get your statistics, because that market research is going to go as part of your business plan. And yes, a business plan is going to be tedious. It's going to take time. Any good business takes time. And any good business owner will tell you, yes, it takes time. Anybody that says you can just jump right in and, hey, I'm going to make $1 million. No. I mean, few people got YouTube famous, but if you look at how many people are on YouTube and how many actually made it, that's a very, very small percentage, okay? So don't think that there's an easy way through it, but there is a step-by-step way. And as you go along those steps, you can make some money to support yourself and to grow. And then you're doing something you're passionate about, growing and building. So let's jump into that business plan. The first part of your business plan is, what are you doing? Write out just an overall summary of what you are going to be doing. if you're going to be cooking food, there's a company called Alice's Cuisine. Christian Asante is my friend over there. And they make some amazing, amazing food, like top notch. I don't know if you've ever heard of mustard salmon, but oh my gosh, I thought it sounded horrible, disgusting. My gosh, it was amazing. And he has a great product. His wife is the one that does the cooking. He does the business operations and management. It's a good setup. Husband, wife, couple, and whatnot. It's good. And they started off small. And now what they do are corporate lunches. So they cook it ahead of time, and then they sell it for 2 hours a day, plus about 3 to 4 hours of cooking per day. So you got 6 hours in, and you're in and out. Ta-da! It's a good business plan, but it took them a while to get there, because they had to get the food truck, they had to get the chafers, which those are the heating things that go underneath the... You got your pans full of food, and then you got the things that heat it. That's a chafer. They had to get all this equipment, and she had to refine her skills as a chef. What they would say in their business plan, metaphorically, we run a catering business as well as a mobile restaurant, and we serve corporate clients parties and events. That was 2 sentences, maybe 3-ish. Okay, you just need to outline or create a summary of what your business is going to be. In my case, it would be, I could just say I'm building custom computers for gamers and engineers. I actually did that, and that was part of my business plan. So you want to get a summary. But once you got that summary, the next thing you're going to be moving on to, what does it cost to do business? And this is something you're going to have to research. That should be part of your market research. You need to know, okay, what is the cost of doing business? Not just, hey, I'm going to buy this and I'm going to sell it over here. Yay! More than that. In most cases, it's so much more than that. So you need to know, okay, what's your overhead like? I'm working from an office in my house. Cool. That's a tax write-off, by the way. Or let's say I need to get an office building. Well, if you've built up from the beginning, you have a feel for what your overhead is for just general operations. And so you have to factor in that overhead of an office. And that's why you got to start small, is so you can know what your overhead's going to be. Okay, where am I going to source this from? Where am I going to source that from? You've got to know what your overhead is. What's the cost of doing business? You got to take into account travel mileage. And there are apps. If you go to the Google store and you type in mileage, you can see, hey, it's a mileage calculator. Yay! Once you start driving and you use that mileage calculator, these apps are built to give you the information you need for filing your taxes and writing it off on your taxes. And we're going to get into taxes in a bit, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. So you're still figuring out what is your cost of doing business, your per mile expense, supplies for doing a service business expense. Even if it's a Google Drive account, hey, I need to get up to 500 gigabytes of storage. That's $10 a month, or at least I think it is. You've got to take all these things into account, but you have to figure out the cost of doing business. Why? Because that's where we go on to our next part of your business plan, which is profit and loss. You've already summarized what you're doing, and you've been in business for this long. So you've got a proven track record behind you, which if you're getting any sort of bank loan, you're gonna need that proven track record, unless you've just got the world's greatest credit. So you've got this track record, and this track record's informed you, hey, this is gonna go wrong, that's gonna go wrong, and yeah, I'm not touching that crap again. Okay, it's going to be a learning experience. That's why you want to start off small, because you don't want to get into a big contract or a big obligation and then run into a snag that you never thought of. You got to be in the trenches. You got to be getting your hands dirty. That's how you succeed. It's like I was telling you before, the 4 rules of business, okay? You've got to throw passion. You've got to throw everything. And then you've got to continually do your research. Your research never ends. Cautiously but fearlessly proceed. Then remember to take time for yourself, so you don't burn out, because you're going to be putting a lot of time into your business. Your business plan alone, if it doesn't burn you out, then you've got more stamina than me. You've got to work out your cost of doing business in order to figure out your profit and loss statement. How much money are you going to make? Because, for example, if you're taking a bank loan, they only care about 2 things. 1, how much do you want? And 2, how likely are you to be able to repay them? Because all they care about is interest. Like your whole business, oh yeah, that's great. In their head, number. Okay, number. Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. That number. Yeah, okay, we'll give you a loan, or nope, we're not going to give you a loan. But they're also not going to give loans to people that are untested, which is why you have to start small and get somewhat of a track record. Otherwise, why would somebody give you money if you've never done something before, even if you have the world's greatest business plan? Doesn't make sense, does it? So, moving on. Now, sometimes you can get away with that too. Like, there are people that do get business loans that probably shouldn't be getting business loans. The majority of those folks, well, they're not doing too great. And I want you to do great. Once you figured out your cost, you got to figure out what your profit is. So yeah, it's cost this much. How much of all of that comes back to me? Which means you have to already know your market, like we talked about, and know, okay, I could sell this much for this much, and I can keep this much. And honestly, that's going to be the case in a lot of cases. Once we first go into business, a common thing that happens is people overestimate how much money they're going to make. Oh, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to do this. I remember one guy, he was starting a clothing line, and he legit had some great designs, like seriously great designs. Didn't have the first clue how to start his business, how to run it. And I was working marketing with him just to, see where it goes. Why not? Yeah, it didn't last a year, and that's because he wasn't prepared. We're going to go into marketing in just a few. But for now, profit and loss. Okay, you've been cutting people's hair in your own chair. Let's say you're a barber or a hairstylist. Hair dye, you've got to pay for conditioner. You've got to pay for the chair. Now you can get the chair on a loan. Okay, you've been doing this for a while and you've been cutting people's hair without an actual stylist chair, which, believe it or not, those make life so much easier. Or you've been using one from Goodwill or one that you got from a thrift store. Okay, that's an honorable start. You don't have to start off all luxurious. You need to start off small and grow yourself safely. And so you get this one chair, but you want to get into the nicer chair over here. At that point, you can get a business loan. How much is that going to cost you? What's the per month? Now you've been doing it for a while, so you know how you can make this much profit and only spend this much in supplies. Cool. Okay, so you've got this little margin right here that says, hey, that's how much is left over. Now, you've got to cut that down because number one, you should always, always, always be putting bare minimum 10% of your profits away. Like untouchable in a savings account, it's a business savings account, put your money away. Because number one, business accounts or savings accounts, like they legit look good on your credit if you've had them for over a year, which if you're going to be starting a business, you should probably start off small and be doing it for at least a year. Because you're going to figure out all the mistakes that you're going to run into. And it's better to do it early when you're small and you can recover from it. So recapping, you put that 10% of your profits just away. Savings account, untouchable. That's only there for your business. You do not touch it for bills, you don't touch it for expenses. If you can't do that, then start off slower. Don't expand. Put your 10% away and make sure that you have that 10% that you can put away. Ideally, you want to get to about 20%. I mean, 15 is a comfortable medium, but you want to ideally get to the point where you're putting 20% of your profits away. And you've got enough profit to be able to do that and survive. So you put your money away and you know that of this little bit of profit that you're going to be making, which is very common, then you factor in, okay, if I've been making this much for 6 months, 8 months, 4 months, I could spare this much without touching that 10% that's backup money or petty cash or however you want to call it. But I've got this little bit right here that I can put towards a new chair or towards a vehicle. Down and Dirty Junk Removal, that was one of my clients. And they picked up other people's trash, put it into a truck, moved it on. They were in business for a couple years. They hired me to do their website, and then they moved on to getting another truck. That is a respectable way to go. I mean, let's say you have just a regular pickup truck and you want to pick up people's trash and make some money off it. Cool. If you're willing to put into labor, start off small and then get into a bigger truck. Maybe expand your team. You've got to factor in the cost of getting into another truck or cost of getting a barber chair. I mean, you get the idea. You're going to be going into Excel or making a list of all of your expenses on a regular basis and figure out what your profit's going to be. All right, so let's say you figured out, okay, this is my profit, this is my expense. I've written down what my company is going to be doing. I've been in it for a while. I got some credentials behind me, some street cred. What next? That's cool. Neat. Get yourself a website. The reason I say that is once you have a website, and once you're fully official on that front, then you could start doing what I'm doing here. I'm making videos. Neat. And I'm going to be using these videos to springboard my own career. Public access radio and public access television is available in literally every state. Every major city of every major state. Meaning you've got some place where you can go and you might have to volunteer a little bit. But once you do, you could do what I'm doing right here. Just stand in front of a camera, hopefully look good. I don't know if I can get that pose down right. This is a way to do it, but we've got webcams now. Hold on a second, I'm gonna get my friend, my handy little friend. Bam! That's right. This right here is an LG Stylo 4 Plus. The Plus is because it has a wicked camera. It's better than the LG Stylo 5. Cost me $150. I don't need the best Verizon everywhere service. I don't need that. And we're gonna get into cutting your expenses in just a second, but this right here, I can go to Walmart, pay $10, give me a nice little tripod, and I can start recording myself. And then I can go to Walmart, spend $15, get a nice big SIM card to store all of that video on. This one right here, 128 gigabyte SIM card. Why not? You've got all these different options to put yourself and your ideas out there basically for free. This is going on CCTV. Everything you're seeing right here, all this is going on CCTV, right? For free, public access television. If I wanted to go to a radio show, public access radio. Now, there are limitations to what you can do on public access television, but then you could take it all to YouTube. And YouTube is the world. And this is a marketing tip to take to the bank, okay? Number one, get yourself an Instagram. Number two, get yourself a Twitter. And then just post something on each one of them, showing what you're doing, how you're doing it. Do it once per week, at least. One tweet per week, one Facebook post per week. Once you get up and running with a webcam or a phone or CCTV, then one video per week or two, and just kind of grow yourself slowly as you're growing. As you're starting off small, before you get big. You put in that legwork now, it's gonna make life so much easier when you get to marketing, because then you'll already have a brand out there. You'll already have a name with some folks. You'll have videos that people can look up, oh, he's been doing, or she's been doing this, or they've been doing this for a year. Okay, they're kind of legit. Good advice, good tips, cool product. Wow, that looks sharp. So you've got the endorsements out there. And when people are subscribing to you and liking you, it's going to trickle. It's called an S-curve. So you start off, nobody's there, nobody's watching, and I'm on Instagram and I'm on Twitter, but oh, nice. It's going up, it's going up, whoa, 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 whoa. And it grows like that. And then it'll slowly taper off at the top. Now it's gonna take a while to get there, but that whole year that you're working for yourself, why not work for yourself online too? Get your marketing prepared. Don't just go in and think that everything's going to be handed to you or that everything's going to be easy. It's not. Starting your own business or working for yourself, being an entrepreneur, it is not easy, but it's fun. If you're doing what you love, it's a lot of fun. You got yourself a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Those are the four that you absolutely need to have. But if you can give MetaCafe or Vimeo, Vimeo, and MetaCafe is one word, Metacafe. Okay, those are great for video distribution. And they've got a unique following. They have people that are interested in special interests. And then get yourself a website, even if it's just a free blog. Why? Because as you go forward over that year, some of that 10% we were throwing away for a rainy day, now you've got money after that year to pay somebody to do a logo for you. If you want to do your own logo, that's fine. But now you can pay for the website and keep it up for the year, and then you can do your logo, okay? This is an easy step-by-step process. And you should be taking notes, but if you aren't, you can go online and at the end of this video, at the end of the show, you'll see exactly what the YouTube is. Ta-da! All right, so we just tied it back together. That 10%, that's gonna go towards your website for the entire year. That extra 10% is pivotal because it's gonna go towards things that you absolutely need, but you've had a year to build up that 10%, to make it big. This is important. One thing I can tell you, and I've seen it more times than I can count, I've been guilty of it many, 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 many times, is okay, yeah, I just made a ton of money. Wow, this was a good month. Oh my gosh, like I can't wait for next month. Yes, this is gonna be, God. The next month comes and you hear nothing but crickets. That stuff will happen. Business is an ebb and flow. You're not always gonna have the same amount of business every single month. It's not gonna happen. You're not gonna have the same trends and the same spikes and the same profitability every single year. It's either gonna go up or it's gonna go down. Okay, that's where accounting and bookkeeping comes in. So the bookkeeping that you're doing, it's all this information. And what we're gonna do is I'm actually gonna show you how to use Excel. Like you're gonna go through it with me, step by step. And I'm gonna show you how to use Excel to do all these cool reports for you, and it'll be easy. I swear it's easy. And I'm going to be teaching this worst case scenario at an 8th grade reading level. I will be teaching you Excel. I am ranked as an expert, and I will show you how to make bookkeeping super crazy easy. Because you want to see, how well did I do this year compared to last year? You want to know what your profitability is because that's going into your business plan. You should always be working on your business plan. You've got some spare time throughout that first year. Yeah, and some of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, a year is so long. Yeah, it is. I'm on year 3 of my most recent project. If you want to be financially independent, if you want to not have to work another job, you gotta put your time in. That's just the facts. All these people out there that are doing extraordinarily well and just super happy and, oh my gosh, I just bought a new car. Whoa! My kids are going to the greatest school and I don't have to see them anymore. Whoa! They put their time in. That's the biggest catch here is it's not gonna be an overnight thing. I know I keep reiterating this. I swear I'm not going to beat you over the head with it anymore, but this is the biggest pitfall, is thinking it's going to be easy. It's really not. That is the vast exception. Has been easy for a couple people. I know a few people that did very well practically doing nothing. Practically. When they did do something, they were working their tails off. It wasn't that hard. For most of you watching, yes, it will be. Just like it is for me and everybody else. Your business plan, you've got your profit and loss. Okay, you know this is how much I have to spend to make this much money. Cool. You got your 10% set aside to pay for your website and pay for any extra equipment that you need to be able to expand. You've written down your business structure. You know what you're going to do. Well, now you've got to go through the operations. How does it work? Now, keep in mind, the operations part of your business plan is just saying, okay, this is how I do this is how I do that. Or it's just a very high level, bird's eye view looking down, tree, house. That's how it has to be about what you're doing. Okay, so if you're doing hair, a hair dyeing, which we charge $80 for, and our cost is $20 plus 2 hours. And those 2 hours you want to translate into pay for yourself. If you want to pay yourself 20 bucks an hour because you've done your research into this market that you want to get into, that you like, 20 bucks an hour, yeah, that's pretty average. I mean, I'm not 40 bucks an hour material yet, but 20 bucks an hour, yeah, that's pretty reasonable. So you got to write that into my employee cost, even if you are your own employee. And this falls back to zero budget accounting, where every dollar is accounted for. There's nothing just hanging in limbo like, oh my gosh, I could take this money over here. You don't want to do that. Like I said, the pitfall I've run into is thinking you got the extra cash, thinking that you can touch into it. You can't. You've got to budget for everything. Otherwise, you're going to lose your tail like so many businesses I've seen. You've got to be smart about it. And that's what bookkeeping is for, bookkeeping and accounting. Accounting is literally counting how much money you made, how much this costs, that costs, what my overall revenue is, meaning your revenue is your gross profitability-ish. So gross profitability or gross revenue means, hey, this is all the money that came in. Yay! And then net revenue is, here's all the money that came in minus all the expenses. Okay, I can live with that. And your bookkeeping and accounting is going to take into account, hey, I've got this Excel file that I'm going to be teaching you how to use. I swear it'll be super easy. So you start with this Excel file and boom, you got this line, profit, expense, travel, wages, you name it. And you break it down by month. You can break it down into categories and then you can graph it. Or you could do a histogram. You could see, hey, I was over here last year and now I'm here. I feel good about this. January rocked. And I was here last year in February, but I'm here. February sucks. I need to figure out what changed and how I can make it better. So you want to get into your profit and loss. You want to have your business plan, the summary written up. You want to write out a high-level review of all of the things that you're going to be performing and what their profitability is. And then you want to take your accounting and that Excel, I swear I'm going to do in the next episode, or close to the next episode. See how I'm like baiting you in? You got your website. You're pretty much ready to get up and running, and you're doing pretty good. The numbers are up. You're doing better than you did last year. Keeps growing. You want to expand. So you've got your profit and loss, and you've got a histogram or you've got graphs, accounting to show, hey, I've been growing. Now you can take it to the bank. Now, if you could do a one-pager that shows profit and loss, I mean, that's the one you take to the bank. But realistically, people are going to be walking in with 14 pagers, 10 pagers. The shorter you can make it, the more the banker is going to like you for it. Or if you can give them just a ba-bam and then a business plan, that way they can look through the ba-bam business summary or the proposal and choose whether or not to fund you. And then if they want to research something, just point them to a page in the business plan. The more you organize and make their life easier, the more the banker is going to like you. I wish it wasn't the case that way. I wish it was just, hey, here's my credit score, here's my business, and here's the proven profitability. I wish it was that easy, but it's not. Bankers are human people too. And they're going to be walking in with bias, which is why we had affirmative action and all of that. Never forget that. Like, just imagine yourself as a banker for a second, because you're looking into getting your money, which I'm going to go into cost of capital in a second. But you're a banker, and all of a sudden, somebody walks up to you and says, hey, I want to get some money. Okay, what do you need to know as the banker? So they've looked into the competition, they've looked into the marketplace, they've got all of these resources that, like I told you, it only takes 10 seconds, but it makes all the difference. They've got this kind of track record, they've got these financials which can be verified with their accounting. Okay, not bad. If they can spend 5 minutes with you and understand exactly what you're doing and how you're going to make a profit, boom. Which brings us to our next point. Cost of capital. If you're approaching a bank, or if you're approaching a lender, or God forbid, you're approaching a venture capitalist, yeah, don't let the big name fool you. These are not nice people when it comes to business. But sometimes they're useful. It depends on what kind of business you're getting into. So cost of capital means how much does it cost me to borrow this much? Because banks, they're not just going to say, well, I've got $5. Here's $5. Just pay me $5 when you get ready. They're not going to do that. They're going to say, here's $5. You owe me $6 when you give it back. They're going to be making money because they got to pay their bankers. And they're going to be investing all that money too. Like all the money in checking and savings accounts, they're investing that money actively. And that's because they want to make money. They have investment bankers. And investment bankers aren't just investing for you, they're investing for the bank. So your cost of capital is the 3% you're going to be paying, or the balloon interest. So the cost of capital is how much you're paying to borrow that money. That's that 3% or 6%. Okay, for example, if you use your credit card, you're entering into cost of capital because in order to get that $500 payday loan, your credit is mediocre, so you're paying 19 to 24%. For $100, you're paying $124.99, and that's just your first month if you pay it all off. You're paying off that, we'll say 6%. We'll say it's a $20,000 loan at 6%. You're bringing in $15,000 a month. I mean, that's not a huge thing, but most of it is your expenses. So you're only keeping about $2,000 per month. And you really want to grow. You want to hire somebody. You want to blow it out the park. Well, you're going to be paying 6%. And you want to shop around a little bit, but you don't want to shop around too much. Because the more times they look into your credit, the more points it counts against you when it comes to if you don't get a loan. Because that's the one funny thing about getting loans is you're going to get a hard credit inquiry, which does take your credit score slightly down. But if you get a loan, boom, it's like they never inquired. But if you don't get a loan, then your credit stays down. Because you tried, you failed, boom, kick them while they're down. That's kind of how banking works. It sucks. And it's only getting worse. But you can still use banking. So you got the business plan, you're at the banker's place, and you're choosing a bank. You want to research your bank a little bit ahead of time. So look into, okay, what are the reviews for people taking loans from that bank? Like walk in to that bank knowing you can spend this much per month. Do not exceed that. Oh, it's only $100 more per month, only $5 more per month. Know what your tolerance is. You want to walk in with an ideal number, a max number, like if I go beyond this, I am risking my livelihood or I'm risking my ability to do business. So you want to keep in the sweet spot with a max cap. Do not break your max cap saying, hey, I'll just get another part-time job. Don't do it. That is a bad decision. I've never seen it work out, not one time. Set your limit for how much you want to pay per month, and then figure out what it's going to cost you to be able to grow your business. Okay, if you want to get into a storefront, how much does that cost? If you want to do like my best friend did and start a food truck, okay, how much does that cost? If you're not sure about any number, if you can't completely track it down on what you think you're going to be spending, like let's say in the food cart, I have to spend this much in gas, up it by 25% every time. Play it safe. Because the last thing you want is to be having to put in extra hours that you didn't want to put in, or to be struggling, or to not be able to afford something that you absolutely need to afford. Because if you do slow and steady, you will win that race. This is America. You're going to win that race. So your cost of capital is, you have to account for the adjustment in your expenses, your operating costs, but you've also got to account for, okay, this is how much it's going to cost me to borrow this money. And you set your monthly payment limit. You set that. and you do not cross your limit. If you can get below your limit, great. And you want to have your business plan fully set up. If you can get a summary of one page showing, hey, this is how we're going to make money and how much we're doing in past records and future records. If you can do that in one page, that's the one you take to the bank. Make mistakes while you're small. That's going to make all the difference in whether or not you're going to succeed. Not only are you playing it safe by keeping it small, but you might discover different niches that are more profitable, that you like more. So let's recap real quick. We've talked about the basics of looking into what kind of business you're going to be doing, getting some legs underneath you, cost of capital because of your business plan, and a little bit of marketing. What I was mostly covering today is making sure you're organized for the next steps. Anyway, catch you next time.